Ladies and gentlemen, it's the match you've been waiting for. The reigning champion OP1 versus the star contender OPZ. The OP1 has dominated the portable synth market since its debut in 2011. But then, mommy brought home a baby brother that's smarter than the Kenzunk. Brother from the same mother, these siblings from teenage engineering are battling it out for the same marketplace. The time has come to see who will survive this battle of the oscillators. Does the newcomer OPZ have what it takes to dethrone the long-standing champ? Coming up, 12 rounds of head-to-head action. There will be a point given for each feature won. And now, it's time for the main event. Let's get ready to rumble! Round 1, Portability. When it comes to portability, the OPZ is the clear winner. The OPZ wins a point for being more compact. In terms of weight, the OPZ is a mere 180 grams. The OP1 is 3 times heavier, and comparatively, it feels like a brick. A point to the OPZ for being much lighter. And if you think holistically about portability, then battery life needs to be factored in. The OPZ has a claimed battery life of 6 hours, and the OP1 claims a hefty 16 hours. A point goes to the OP1 for better battery life. Round 2, Durability. The OPZ features a composite plastic body, well-engineered encoders, and a user-replaceable battery. And the OP1 has a metal body, industrial-grade encoders, and its buttons are rated at 10 million presses. The OP1 is built like a tank, and that makes the OPZ a smart car. Although it's heavier, the denseness of the OP1's metal body makes the unit more rigid and robust than the OPZ's flexible and seemingly fragile shell. I hate to say it, but in a fight within a fight, the OPZ would get crushed by the OP1. One is designed to last a lifetime, and the other one is built economically. Point to the OP1. Round 3, Screen. The screen is a window into the heart of a device. The OP1 has a beautiful AM OLED, that's an active matrix OLED, that's 60 frames per second. Its graphics are fun and attractive, which makes the OP1 a pleasure to work with. The OPZ has no screen, but using Bluetooth in an iOS device running the OPZ app, you can technically have a screen. This is a major plus for this device. However, if you don't have an iOS device, this may not be a viable solution. Further, pairing the app with the OPZ is not as streamlined as it could be, and the OPZ occasionally loses connectivity. Thus, a point goes to the OP1 for being a truly standalone device with a fantastic screen. Round 4, User Interface and Ease of Use. Both devices have innovative user interfaces. The OP1 has an easy-to-follow interface and intuitive workflow. There are dedicated buttons for primary features and 4 color-coordinated encoders that tie in well with the interface on the screen. The OPZ shares this DNA and has 4 color-coordinated encoders that function in a similar fashion. However, without a screen, the OPZ lacks the intuitiveness of the OP1. The OPZ makes up for this with 53 LEDs on its surface, 29 of which are RGB and provide additional feedback. The OPZ is remarkable for its user interface given its lack of screen. However, this results in combination button presses to get to certain features, which means more memorization and less intuitive workflow. The OP1 can for the most part be operated single-handedly, and you don't have to stop playing a melody just to switch a sound preset, for instance. Further, the keyboard on the OP1 has larger keys that are easier to play. A point to the OP1 for having a more robust and easy-to-use interface. Round 5, Synthesis. This round should be good as both devices are billed as portable synthesizers. The OP1 has 11 different synth engines on board, plus the ability to use a sample as a source. Each engine has several presets and a wide range of stock sounds available, plus the ability to create your own. The OP1's dedicated synth can load any of these engines, and the unit has 8 available preset keys that you can load however you want. The OPZ has 4 synth tracks, each of which has a synth engine type. For instance, bass, melody, arpeggio, and chord. Each track has its own presets that you can change. Additional presets or plugs can be loaded via the app, but the selection is limited at this time. The point then goes to the OP1 for having more variety of synth engines and the ability to quickly audition and swap sounds. The OP1 is much better suited for sound design, giving users more options and control over their sound. Round 6, Sampler. Well, we've all heard the rumors. The OPZ is going to get sampling functionality sometime in the future. However, there's only one sampler in the ring today. The OP1 gets the point for having sampling features out of the box. Also worth noting, the OP1's sampler is easy to use, allowing for sampling of the line input, built-in mic, or built-in FM radio. And the drum slicing features are especially great because of the added screen information. At the halfway point in our match, the OP1 has a fair lead, but the OPZ still has a chance. Let's see how this develops. Round 7, Sequencer. Both of these units come equipped with sequencers, so this should be an interesting round. The OP1 comes with a handful of sequencers. Personally, I think the finger sequencer is the most useful one for me, but comparatively speaking, it's quite limited. The OPZ, on the other hand, could be TE's rebuttal to the relatively weak sequencing features of the OP1. The Z is primarily a sequencer, with some synth features and a bunch of other stuff as well. But it knocks the OP1 onto the rope with its sequencing prowess. 1 point to the OPZ. Round 8, number of tracks. The OP1 is famous for its 4-track tape feature. It has 4 tracks and only 4 tracks. The limitless potential of the modern DAW brings stark contrast to the throwback strategy of the OP1. But it works. Many amazing and complex albums were made on 4-track recorders, such as the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. So the OP1 is not limited to only 4 tracks if you know about reduction mixes. With that, the OPZ is billed as a 16-track sequencer. But we're going to go on the record and say that it only has 8 tracks, because you can't load audio onto tracks 9 through 16. The point goes to the OPZ. Round 9, sample time. The OP1 can record for 6 seconds in synth mode and 12 seconds in drum mode. In tape mode, 24 minutes can be recorded in slow mode. And the OP1 has a claimed storage of 512 megabytes. The OPZ can't sample, but it can load samples. It has a capacity of 31.4 megabytes, and 6 megabytes is used for stock samples. So the OP1 has several times the storage. Point to the OP1. Round 10, Midi Implementation. Both devices output MIDI over USB, and they can both be used as MIDI keyboards. The OP1 can be used to control outboard gear via its built-in sequencers, but we know that the OP1 sequencers are weak compared to the OPZ. The Z can control outboard gear via MIDI over USB and via the accessory OP Lab module. Although all 16 tracks output MIDI signals, we're going to again insist that it only has 8 usable tracks. Tracks 1 through 8 can be used to output MIDI and parameters can be set. But on channels 9 through 16, the octaves of those tracks can't be adjusted, making the range of MIDI notes limited. So the device you want to control is limited to that range. And say you want to control an outboard synth, the note range limits the frequency range of those notes as well. Despite all of this, the OPZ is still better for sequencing MIDI. Point to the OPZ. Round 11, sound quality. First, this round is not about samples or presets on the machine, but how good they sound when they're played. Since quality is subjective, we need a way to quantify quality. A simple comparison would be to compare the hardware specs of each device to understand their auditory limitations. Both devices are digital, so the limitations lie with their processors and D-to-A converters. In terms of processors, the OPZ has slightly better performance, but the digital-to-audio converters may be more important when you consider sound quality. After all, these are what actually create the sound, and it can only be as good as that converter can produce. The OPZ has 24-bit 48 kHz DAC, which is better than CD quality. But the OP1 has 24-bit 96 kHz DAC and ADC, which is twice the sample rate and can produce twice the information within its waveform. For this reason, the point goes to the OP1. Round 12, value. As we enter this final round, we compare retail price and intrinsic value. The OPZ retails for $5.99 USD, and the OP1 is $12.99 USD. So the question is, do you get twice the features and performance as the OPZ from the OP1? And so far we've seen that there are a few cases that the OP1 is twice as good, and other cases where it is half as good. If you're a recording musician, producer, or sound designer, the substantial price increase can be justified. viable. If this is your first synth, there are several worthy units below the OP1's price point, including the OPZ. At the OPZ's price point, there are also decent synths for less. But let's face it, you're buying into the convenience of a small, portable, and elegant package. Since these are more than just synths, more so standalone workstations, you pay a premium. And you pay a premium for the Teenage Engineering brand. But in terms of value, for the average person looking to make beats and songs, the OPZ is hard to beat. Point to the OPZ. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, the match is over and the scores are in. And what an amazing display of athleticism and dedication we have seen here today. But the time has come and a champion must be named. In the first ever worldwide Beat Fighter Battle of the Oscillators, the champion is the OP1. We hope you have enjoyed this video. Please give a like and subscribe on your way out. Thanks for your support.